So welcome back to the Ride Shop channel here at Saxy Ride Shop. This week we're going to bring you up to speed on what's going on with the F100 project truck here that we're doing the exhaust on. As you can see, Kenny's finished up the passenger side header, and he's just finished up welding the driver's side. He's currently fitting and working on the X member, or not the X member, the X pipe. That'll go, it'll tie into this flex bellow here, and the X will be right in this area, and then he's going to tie all that into the exhaust. They'll be, or the mufflers, they'll be down through here. So that's kind of what he's working on. He's got to finish welding his flange on that pipe there, but he's working on that right now, fitting and lining all that stuff up. So that's kind of where we are on this truck at the moment. Once we get past that little adapter piece there on the tail end of that header, the rest of this exhaust will move pretty sweet. So we also just received this pretty nice little project here. Customers had for a while. It's been in his family for a long time. It's a 48 Mercury, and it's just here for some repairs and some maintenance. We noticed when the customer was here and we were going over some of the stuff he was asking us to look at, the radiator is pretty flexible. And what's happened, and it's common on these aluminum radiators if they're not built right, and I'm not saying this one's not built right, but the upper mounts have broke. There's nothing up here holding this upper mount. You can see on this side here how this one's broke right here. Nothing's attached anymore. So what that's going to cause if we don't get that fixed is it's going to end up breaking the bottom of the radiator, and then he's going to have a leak because it's going to flex that bottom. It's here for that. He was complaining about it having a what he feels might be a vapor lock issue. So we don't really have the temperature at this moment in our area to try to replicate that, but we're going to get it up in the air and just double check all the fuel system from front to rear. Check where the fuel lines, if there are any metal lines or fuel filters, or if it's an external pump. Just make sure it's not anywhere near any of the exhaust. Make sure there's not anything that could be creating its having an air pocket. And then we'll also probably try to scope down inside the tank and just see if it's got any trash in it. It could just be having an issue where he's just got bad trash in the tank and it's sucking up around the pickup. So we got those things to do. It has no emergency brake cables. He wants us to work him up a price on installing those. So we'll do that. And I think that's all we got on the list for this car. So we'll keep you posted on that one as the week goes. Our goal is to get this one in and out, in a couple of days, get it back to the customer and get the next project in. So here we are on the 88 Dakota. As you can see, as I said earlier in some of the earlier videos, it's got the 6.1 Hemi in it. So what we're doing is, customer got this work done at another shop down south, and we're just going to redo it. We're going to make it like it should be. The motor was installed offset to the side of the car, and you can see here, these may be what you're looking for. You can see here, they've got the exhaust manifolds up against the suspension. They've actually had to grind on the A-arm to get some clearance, but that's just not a good way to do it. And the best we can determine, part of the reason they did that was the the vacuum brake booster was so large that they had it up against the coil. So like, even if you got these bolts out, you were not going to be able to pull the coil or the spark plug out. So we're going to convert it back to a Hydro Boost brakes. We're going to, and while it was up on the lift, it looks like the motor is not in. It's not that it's so much offset to one side, it's actually in it crooked. So we're going to straighten the motor back up, gain the clearance over there, deal with this area right here, and if we need to, we'll come in and put an extra U-joint. So we'll have this U-joint here. We can always shorten that column a little bit, get an extra U-joint. It looks like at one time somebody had a rod-end support bearing, because you can see the factory rack, how they're mounted right here to come in at that angle. So somebody's done some work allowing for some of that stuff. Why it wasn't being used, we don't know, but we're going to make it right and then get it back dialed in and running. We're going to redo the fuel system. It was just, you got a fuel injection system here, and they had hose clamps on it, and it was leaking. So we're going to just take the fuel system out, completely start over from scratch on that. So when this car leaves, it's not going to be painted and all that kind of stuff, but it's going to be driving. He's going to be able to drive this car home. So that's kind of where we are on the little Dakota. We're going to research it and maybe see if we can't find a way of putting some bigger disc brakes on the front. If not, we may end up making a kit of our own. We've done that in the past, but that's some of the stuff that we got going on. We're going to clean up some of this wiring. We do have to make sure that the gauges are working. Everything needs to function and operate correctly, and monitor the functions of the engine. He would like to be able to do that with the factory gauges if we can get all that to work. And then we finally got to touch base with you here on the Ford F100 truck frame. You can see Kenny's got all the headers dialed in, got the driver's side finished up now, all the welding's done, got the bungs for the O2 sensors, the flex tube, the band clamps here that we get these from Vibrant, the flex coupler there also. Got the X pipe built in here, and we do have clearance for the dry shaft. I know it looks close, but we got clearance for the dry shaft throughout the travel. And the nice quality MagnaFlow mufflers. Now what we did on this one, as you can see here, we just built this up over and just let it dump down right now behind the rear end. And the reason we did that is the customer still has to put the cab and the bed on it and get those lined up, dialed in, and then we can finish bringing the tailpipes out the back, because he wants them to come out in the bumper area. So that's kind of what we did there. This is all 3-inch pipe, stainless pipe. We use a lot of Vibrant parts on here. I can't remember the brand of the tubes that we got for this one. These may be also Vibrant. Yes, so all of our 3-inch pipe came from Vibrant. All of our U-bend, straight pipe. I believe the tubes did also. The merge collectors, all that type of stuff that Kenny used. All the stuff here, nice quality piece. Customer's on his way to pick this up here in a little bit. And then hopefully in a month or so, when he gets the truck finished, he'll bring it back and we'll finish out that pipe, and we'll give you a little bit of what the thing sounds like. So that's kind of where we are on this truck right here. We got the okay to go ahead and build this replacement gas tank for the Shelby Cobra customer of ours that we had in here a couple of, what was that, 3 or 4 weeks, a couple months ago, wasn't it? Yeah, we had a customer Shelby Cobra in here, and then after we did some work on the car and got it running, took the car back to put it in his collection. While he was out of town on vacation, he was informed by a friend that there was a leak, and what it was is the actual bladder. So the original tank, this is basically what there is of the original tank. And this isn't really a tank. This is actually a skin, a protective skin, and then there's a bladder inside of here, and we'll show you what the bladder looks like that came out of it. And then there was a bulkhead that bolted in here and a bulkhead that bolted in this back section here. So what we're actually going to do, though, going to the same size, we're going to replicate the tank visually with the components going back in the same location. He doesn't have this side marked out yet, but he's got the back one here marked out where this rear bulkhead goes. And you can see here how he's got it tacked up with some internal baffles, provisions for the fuel to go in and out in the front. And then he'll pre-fit all this, get all this dialed in here, make room for the pickup tubes, the sending unit. We're going to actually recess the sending unit into the top of the tank instead of into the back. And then he'll put the cap on it and weld this all up solid. Filler neck will come in here and tie into the original location of the quick fill on the body. So we'll get all that done, and then we'll pressure check it and check it for leaks, and then give us back to the customer to put back in the car. So that's kind of where we are on the gas tank there. That is, again, that's for a, what we call it, Shelby America built. Shelby, one of the recreation cars. That's what's going in there. So now that we actually have some extra help, a new employee, and we'll introduce you to him at some point in time here in the near future. But we're back on the 63 split window, and one of our first provisions that we're going to do, since we inherited this car from another shop, is we're going to get to the thing where we're going to make sure everything operates, functions, and the engine starts, runs, and the car is movable under its own power. Because once we get this car back in the body shop and start getting all that stuff done, I don't want to find out after the fact that something's wrong and the motor's got to come out. If it's got to come out, we want to do it now. And part of the thing we're going to do, because of all of our tin work that we've incorporated in here that Brandon's done, the factory harness, or the harness that was used on this car was a Holley HP tuner ECU system. And it looks like they just used probably the pre-loomed harness and then routed everything the best they could. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to buy some undetermined sections of the harness for the fuel injectors, some of the engine sensors. And we're going to pre-route everything off the motor down nice, clean, and hidden to come up and under our panels. So everything's behind it. You shouldn't see any wiring, but just where you have to on the engine. And we're going to do the same with our fuel lines. We're going to reroute those. We're going to go to the new PTFE stuff also. But then that way, when this rear panel goes back in here, everything's hidden. And we got this cavity right here. So we're going to also come in and put some, like we're going to take the injector harness, build that to a common plug. So if the motor ever does have to come out at a later date, we can just undo one plug here and then pull the motor out and then deal with all this stuff at a later date while it's on the engine stand. So we got that done. Daniel, the new guy, has actually put a battery in it. He's been checking some internal circuits to verify what's done. And that's what happens sometimes when you inherit these cars from other shops. Supposedly it works. Supposedly it does. It doesn't sometimes. All the parts are there supposedly in a box, but then when you start going through everything, it's not there. So we're getting back to the point of figuring out what we have, we don't have, what we're missing, what we need to get on the order, testing the light circuits, all that type stuff. So we'll get that type stuff done, and then we'll start bringing this car in on a bunch of our updated videos here in the near future. Here on the red truck, we're getting close to winding down on it. We still got a little paint work that we got to do up in the front, towards the rear, steering column, and a steering wheel. But some of the last things that we're working on the inside of the truck and related to the interior, as he starts making noise now that we're trying to record, is I'm trying to get to finish up the window openings. The customer had us put in a one-piece door glass kit that he had. And the typical thing with a lot of these kits is they make the kit to fit all doors the best they can, and not every door is the same. So one of the things I'm doing is making provisions for the inner channel, and you can see these factory stops in here, or spacers. Well, like this one's a lot further back or deeper than this one, and we need the channeling to fit flush with the opening. And when you put it up there, you can see how deep it is. So one of the things I'm doing, like in the corners, is I'm actually making some spacers. These are actually out of plastic. They'll get painted black. And these will get urethaned in these corners, and that'll give a backer for this channeling to back up to and glue to in these corners. And I put holes in it so that the urethane can squeeze through there and help hold it in place. And then the kit actually comes with the cat whiskers. And when you take out your vent window assembly, you can see here on the door that there is absolutely nothing forward. And when you're dealing with a painted car, this even makes it a lot more difficult. So there's nothing here forward to glue this to or to attach it to. So what I'm planning on doing here is bending some sheet metal and pre-fitting it up into this curve a little bit with a shrinker stretcher. And then I'm going to use some panel bond and come up from the inside of the door and bond it into this little roof area here and let it have a lip hanging down. And then that will give me something up here, because as you can see, this kit, it comes with the clips for the factory holes, but from here forward there is nothing. And then there's not enough lip here to glue this cat whisker on. So we're going to be doing that while we're doing that. And then finishing off the headliner. Where did I set that down? The way we've done this particular headliner, and I've done them on these F100s this way several times, is you can see that aluminum molding around the perimeter of the headliner. Well, that was an old school body side molding that was used years ago, and I just happened to have some of it still left. So we're going to be using this vinyl covering. That aluminum molding pop rivets in place. This vinyl molding, now it only come in one color back then. And I'm going to dye it to match, and then this will attach along the roof, and we'll trim off that excess headliner material, and that'll give us a finished edge all the way around that headliner. So that, install the sun visors. We're finishing up the wiring on the seat. We got the cup holder done. This will be hidden under the seat. This will slide back and forth under the seat. It's a little tight right now just because it's bolted down solid. We got to do a little bit of adjustment, shimming, to keep it from dragging on the carpet just a little bit. That goes in and out. The radio comes along with it. And that's kind of about where we are on this truck right here. I can't think of anything else that we've got going on it. We've got the armrest done, door panel. As soon as I get this door finished, we'll get the door panel on. So anyway, that's what we got going on in the shop this week. We appreciate you subscribing to our channel, supporting us. Tell your friends about it if you haven't lately, or if you haven't, hit that bell button so you get all of our notifications. Plus, this is the start of May, so it's getting close to that hot rod season. So everybody, be sure and get your car serviced, get your oils changed, check everything out, and let's do some cruising this year. Thank you, and we appreciate you.